All right. So thank you for joining us. We're here today with the SLWG Author Series. This is kind of our new format. So we're actually here with Mike Bezemek. All right, excellent, got that right. Who is an adjunct professor at WashU, teaching screenwriting, which is what he just did for us here at our February workshop. We had a blast. It was a great workshop. Thanks.
Oh, cool.
I really enjoyed it. As a guy who came out of screenwriting and script writing, I really loved it. So some really great things. Actually, I had a few questions for you. So I wanted to start off by asking, what is the best advice? If you could just narrow it into just, we just talked about the fact that this is like a huge thing that's going to take years and years to do, but can you narrow it down into like a single piece of advice for a scriptwriter?
For an aspiring scriptwriter?
Yeah, for an aspiring scriptwriter.
Probably study prior art.
Okay.
I think I say that for most genres of writing. So study prior art and study prior theory. Okay?
Excellent.
I can elaborate, but
no, feel free if you want to elaborate.
And I think by that I mean watch tons of films, but watch them with like an analytical eye, and like so. My wife will say, "This is very annoying how you watch films because I pause it. I'm constantly hitting spacebar, and I'm like rewinding a minute here, rewinding there, or I'm skipping around, and then I'm like, okay, back to the thing. Read scripts, read screenplays." And then read theory books, and don't just read one theory book, but read within reason all of the theory books, because like I was saying in the talk, if you read just one, you'll get a formula, and if you read all of them, you're going to recognize patterns.
I really like that, by the way. That was a great piece of advice, because I fully agree. Like, yes, the screenwriter's Bible is the Bible, start there, but I love that you kind of brought up the fact that people should really extend that out and go elsewhere.
And then the Bible, screenwriting Bible is good. You were saying Save the Cat by Snyder.
Great one too.
What do we got? Screenplay by Sid Field. Robert McKee's book Story. I think, and then also those Adventures in the Screen Trade by Goldman.
William Goldman, excellent writer. All right, so for those starting out, for those who have thought I've never written a script, but I'd kind of like to. Beyond looking at theory, is there something they should do? Is it, I mean, you obviously teach it,
So I say take a class.
Okay.
And I think, talking about it in 2 hours, it's almost impossible to learn about screenwriting, but maybe you can learn how to learn about it. And every now and then there's like week-long seminars, and I think those can be good, but it's almost better to go to just something like that if you've already studied for a while.
Yeah.
And what I found is that it really takes like a semester to wrap your head around the kind of unique formatting and
because it's
conventions.
so different from other kinds of writing.
Yeah, and so and usually after in that semester, toward the end of the semester, it's starting to kind of fit together and things are starting to gel and the students' work starting to improve a lot. And one thing I've noticed in screenwriting classes is that the writing improves at a much faster rate than almost any other class I teach, because first you're kind of like internalizing these weird format and expectations of the genre. So I mean, I do think taking a class is really good, or going back to the whole thing, prior art, film, script, and theory books.
Excellent. That's all really good advice. I highly recommend you take all of that. What can people learn about script writing that they can take to other genres? So if screenwriting has very specific sets, but a lot of those skill sets can be applied to other genres, other types of writing. Can you elaborate on that?
I think the best thing you can take from screenwriting is understanding of structure, and I think you can take that understanding of structure to like many different genres of writing. Fiction writing, novels, short stories. I think particularly mainstream magazine features, especially like literary journalism features. I think those can really benefit from understanding of structure. Even memoirs. And I think along with structure, you can also take concept. And concept, is like we say, boil down your idea into a log line, your concept line. I think those are really helpful tools. And a lot of times when my students are struggling to write a short story or like especially magazine nonfiction, I'll say write out a subtitle that is essentially a log line.
Yep.
You don't have to use it in your final piece, but it might help get you on track and figure out what this piece is about. And that is essentially the concept line idea. So I think structure and concept you can get from screenwriting. And I think they're better discussed in screenwriting than other places, just because other places tend to focus on other things, and also maybe the time period we live in, which is this kind of like films are formulaic because of plot. And I don't think that's because of plot. I think they're formulaic because of formulas. And it's kind of this, throw the baby out with the bathwater thing, where I'm like, we need to talk about it. It's a craft element. We can't ignore it. And that's kind of how I feel.
And I would actually throw into that too, that you can see it better, more easily in a movie than you can in a book sometimes. Because the movie's laid out really easily, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can break it down, whereas a book's a little bit harder.
Oh, I completely agree. And you can watch that movie like 5 times.
Exactly.
And most of us don't read novels 5 times. We don't have the time for that.
Yes.
So movies are like a good kind of like lab.
Yes.
Where you can like study structure.
Yeah, they are. They can be an excellent way of doing that. So I have to ask, since you're a movie guy and a script guy, do you have a favorite movie character from any of your favorite movies?
So I tend not to have like single favorites.
Okay.
But I do have favorite characters that sort of stick with me. Actually, when you said that, I didn't think of a movie. I thought of Breaking Bad. I really liked Walter.
Yeah.
And I think recently that's my most favorite character because of just the kind of the character arc that he undergoes. From what he is at the beginning to what he is at the end, and just how it was structured, and how every sort of episode kind of flowed into the next, and how he kind of subtly grew and became this other sort of individual.
Do you think TV is going to give us more of that, the ability, because you have that longer arc as opposed to a 2-hour movie, to kind of to give that character depth?
What I've heard is that like a lot of the best writers are going to TV because they can experiment more, and they have more freedom. And what's happening in films right now is they are adhering more to formulas and thinking more like from a business standpoint. They want to use like franchises with records of success, and they don't want to take chances and risks because of the amount of money they put into movies. So I think, so I also like Orange Is the New Black, and Crazy Eyes. That's amazing character.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of really good characters coming out of TV. Film, there are tons of characters like from film. Just to go way back, I really like Scotty from Vertigo. I think he's a really compelling character. He's dealing with elements of the present and pragmatism, and elements of the past and fantasy, and he's struggling with it, and he sort of falls into that kind of fugue state or whatever it is. So another character I really like is the main character from The Player, Griffin Mill.
Oh yeah,
he's a satirical character. It's kind of it's a kind of cynical story about Hollywood, and there's a lot of really good stuff there for screenwriters to look at, I think.
Is there a reason why Hollywood loves to write about writers?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just love that. Yeah.
So they save the day.
Because this is the SLWG Author Series, we've got a long-running series of these, and one of the questions we've always asked is, what's the hardest? And I'm kind of curious if this varies from novels into script, but do you find the first line of a movie difficult or the last line of a movie difficult?
Yeah, I think...
Which one's harder?
Yeah, so I actually think, because of screenwriting, I actually think that the hardest line to write in a screenplay is that log line. That one sentence concept
constellates everything.
And I think, when you think about screenwriting itself, the screenplay is probably not an art form. The final film is the art form. And so I don't know about the first line, the last line. I think you need to be willing to change those lines, continue as you go. Probably the first line that you write at the beginning of your project is not going to be the first line at the end.
No, rarely.
And whatever that final line is going to be, usually when you've got your concept dialed in, I feel like that line kind of comes to you in a way. So I would just fall back to the idea of that concept line, how important that is, and how hard it is to write. We'll write those in our classes, and the students struggle with it so much. Because
even writers, as novelists, we know that log line is an impossible thing to create.
Yeah. So I don't know if that quite answers it, but
no, that totally answers it.
It's just, if you can figure that line out, the others might start to come to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Quick shout out, Mike Bezemek here. You've got obviously a website, and you're a teacher at WashU. So if you're interested in classes on screenwriting, definitely check out WashU's. It's the
So
I know it's the adult.
It's University College. It's
University College.
It's like the extension services, and our courses are offered at night.
Yeah.
And we also have some courses in the summer. And you can find out about that at the University College website. So you can just type in WashU University College, and then you can follow that to registration information. They have class listing.
Excellent.
All classes go up in like a couple of weeks, I think.
Okay. And if we want to know more about you, do you have a website?
Yeah, my website is www.mikebezemek.com.
All right.
And you can contact me through that webpage.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, and we will see all of you next month.